What's going on? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today I'm going to give you an overview of what happened with Lucid, go over some of the data points and everything else that you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. And with that said, let's get right to it. So Lucid did close 0.31% in the green, kind of low volume. So 23 million shares have been traded. 39.5 is the average. And most of the volume being done today was done by algorithmic trading or by shorts, because you can kind of see right here, there was only one transaction above $100,000 that did occur on the secondary market. So big money was taking a step back, not really buying the Lucid dip or the volatility today. So that was very abnormal. Aside from that though, there was no recent news, no SEC filings, nothing along those lines. So Lucid has gone kind of radio silent ever since their recent earnings. But unofficially though, there has been several things coming out. There was, it looks like, an interview with 𝗪𝗧𝗪𝗧 where he does talk on their expansion into the UAE and how deliveries should be commencing in the next couple months. And plus there's going to be that studio that does open, I believe they said in Q3, or regardless, probably within the second half of 2024. But no matter what, expansion into the UAE, there's a lot of good money, a lot of good demand there. So that should be relatively good. And speaking on vehicles that are produced out of AMP2, it does look like they have their very first recall. So they popped their cherry essentially. Based on the reasoning, it's nothing really crazy. In this recall, it doesn't actually state how many vehicles are affected. It is assumed that probably everything that was produced out of AMP2, because it just says the modeled Air Dream 2023, Air Grande 23 to 24, and Air Pure 24. So it doesn't actually say the Kingdom Edition one. So that might be a good thing, unless it's this right here. So the Air Dream is that Kingdom Edition. I'm not really sure. But again, based on the reason, it's nothing really crazy. So luckily enough, Lucid over the last couple of years has had quite a few recalls, nothing dramatic. So that's kind of a positive. So this is good to know. Is it a reason to sell Lucid? Most definitely not. But that's just my opinion, not a financial advisor. You guys do your own due diligence. And then finally, there was another article that did come out, and I found this one very interesting. So it says right here, EV Group Lucid admits it cannot rely on bottomless wealth of Saudi owner. And I've been guilty of that in the past. I've always said that you have Big Brother behind you, the PIF, willing to really back Lucid and kind of just throw money at it if it needs to. But based on this article and what Peter was saying, it does look like they will be looking at funding this year. As I've said time and time again, even though Lucid and Sherry have said otherwise, that they have sufficient amount of cash into 2025, immediately I have been always saying that they're going to need it probably at the tail end of Q3, if not very early into Q4. So that's something I've been saying, and it's kind of interesting the fact that Peter is now saying that they're probably going to be needing it in 2024. But even more interestingly is that they might not be looking at Saudi, so the PIF, to really kind of back them. They might be looking outside of that, so going to the open market or whatever else. So that definitely stood out to me. Of course, when it comes down to them diluting in 2024, I think that was the writing on the wall. I did always have some people arguing with me about that, saying that I was wrong, but turns out I was very much right on that. Shorts, this is now the fifth or fourth consecutive day, or fifth I believe it is, of them returning. So today they did return 3.19 million shares. 27.83% of the free float is being shorted. 243.47 million shares overall are being shorted, and cost to borrow average is 31.45. I know I have posed this question almost every single day, but they must know something, obviously. Or else why would they be returning? I do look at a lot of stocks across the board, different sectors, and shorts today and over the last couple of days have been doubling down. So kind of interesting with Lucid, but still no answers right now. As far as options, $236,000 in calls being purchased versus 276 in puts. Sentiment wise, very evenly divided, so 50-50 for the most part between bullish and bearish. Looking right here, so of the call options that were purchased today, there's a consensus for it to be around 350, and then looking at puts, you see it is more so orienting towards the $2.50 or $3 range, sub those levels. So there's the consensus clearly that there's going to be more of a breaking down in the technicals. And looking right here, so with it closing at $3.19, it is trading between this S1 and the pivot. So 309 is a very strong support, and in fact this is now the second consecutive trading day it did bounce off of that. So we do know generally that's a good thing. which usually does result in higher highs. So this is where you might see a touch of R1 tomorrow, but depending on how the market does turn out tomorrow, I think it started to turn very much red near the tail end or during power hour. But $3.26 is going to be that next strong resistance, and today it bounced off of both extremes. So we'll just have to wait and see to kind of ultimately find out what does happen. But looking on the actual chart, kind of neutral, still stuck in the lower percentile of the Bollinger Band. Looking at stochastic, you do see that deviation, so red line above the white showing a bearish sentiment, and it is starting to go down. So it is at 29, so still considered somewhat oversold to some regard. And number of retail investors are still starting to get back out, and that's been kind of a common thing ever since roughly the 15th, and prior to that was the 8th. So let me know your thoughts on Lucid. Give yourself a shout out. Did you buy? Did you sell? What have you been doing with Lucid? And as well, let me know your thoughts, for instance, on this recall. Do you think that this is something to worry about or whatnot? So what's your thoughts? Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. And one final thing, take advantage of this promo. Simply sign up for an account with Moo, throw $100 at it, and you get 5 free stocks. Each stock is valued up to $2,000. So take advantage of this. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.